Well, today is the 249th birthday of our nation. And as we all know, we're going to be barbecuing and shooting off fireworks. And there is not a 4th of July that goes by that I don't think about the time I spent it in the burn ward of the local hospital in Las Vegas, Nevada. I was always the designated MC for the fireworks displays. And I had developed a rather unique, or so I thought, technique for passing out sparklers to all the little kids. And it amounted to having as many as 40 sparklers. This is 30 sparklers. I am not going to actually show you live. We're going to simulate the demonstration lest I end up back in the burn unit once again. But the idea of it is I simply would take one sparkler, I'd put it off to the side, I would take a lighter, just imagine that this is going to light. Again, I'm not going to do it. And then I would light it, and then I would take one, I would light it, tell the kids to be very, very careful, and then pass them out. The only problem is I underestimated, as this went down, how close the sparks would get to the others. And before I knew it, I turned and I felt a sensation like I had never felt before, as all 40 sparklers went whoosh and singed my hand to where it looked like a bit of a charcoal briquette, and it was just charred and it hurt like the dickens. Well, fortunately, there was a paramedic that was there, and he said, "Get that hand in ice, get that hand in ice." Well, I got a lot of people here, they're looking up to me because I'm the master of ceremonies, and he says, "Get it in the ice chest." So I stick it in the ice chest, and oh man, it hurt so bad that I kept wanting to pull it out, but when I pull it out, the air would hit it, and I'd put it back in the ice chest. And so they got me a bowl of water, and he said, "We better take you to the hospital." So I was embarrassed, and we get to the hospital, and he says, "Do you want to take that bowl of water that I had my hand in the hospital?" I said, no. I said, "This isn't a big deal. I'm going to just go in." Well, as I was walking in, I was walking by one guy that looked like he had a burn on his face. There was another guy that had something going on, and they were all firework accidents. So there was a bit of a camaraderie that we felt there. Well, as I sat there, the nurse came in and started poking at it and asked me if he was feeling it. But while I was waiting for the nurse to get there, my hand started burning really bad, and I said, "Nurse, excuse me, could I have a bowl of water, please, so I could rest my hand in the water?" Well, as it turned out, she looks at it, the doctor comes in and looks at it and says, "I think we're not going to have to keep you overnight." And I said, "You're not going to have to keep me overnight? You mean there is a possibility you would?" And they said, "Yes, you have 3rd-degree burns on your hand, and we don't want infection to set in, but because you can feel, you have some feeling there, we're going to let you go home." Well, that was a relief, but unfortunately for the next week, I had to go back to the burn unit. And when I'd go back, they would actually have to take tweezers, the nurse, and pull some of the dead skin off of my finger. So it was a pretty traumatic 4th of July. And I remember I was sitting there, and one of the times when she was picking the dead skin off of my hand, and I was wincing because it was painful. And next to me, behind this screen, there was a guy who was screaming. He had been electrocuted and burned 80% of his body. And I felt horrible that I was wincing at this little burn, as serious as it was, on my hand. And I'll never forget what the nurse said. She said, "Does it hurt?" And I said, well, yes, but I feel like a wimp because this poor guy here, he's burned over 80% of his body. And she said something I'll never forget. She said, "Well, just because his is worse doesn't mean yours doesn't hurt." And I've always remembered that because I think about how precious God is, that he's aware when a single sparrow falls to the ground. He is aware of every hair by number on our heads, every grain of sand on every beach in the whole world. And because he knows so much and cares so much, he cares about the smallest burn and the largest of burns. And so we can be comforted by the fact that no matter what we're going through, he is there to comfort us and to encourage us. One last thing I want to mention. Do not, these things are going to get you in a lot of trouble. You light one at a time, which I'm happy to demonstrate right now. I feel pretty comfortable. I actually have not held that many sprinklers since the accident, like decades ago. So the thing is you think you're going to get away with it because it takes so long for them to start up. And that's why I thought I would be okay, but don't underestimate it, because once they get going, then you take the other sparkler, you put it right next to it, and it'll start up right away. Now I will show you one little trick. This is what I call the Ron Sanchez pinwheel. How about that, huh, kids? Don't try this at home without your parents. This is one I've never done before. First time on video, the double wheel. So, a happy 4th of July to y'all. God bless you, and be safe. Be safe with fireworks. I mean that in all seriousness. I learned the hard way.